Hi, welcome to Dystonia Me. My name is Jordan. Today I want to talk to you about the pros and cons of deep brain stimulation surgery. I have a disclaimer. If you choose to go through the process of the DBS surgery, you'll likely have a different experience. Pros. I noticed that the positives of the surgery tend to define my quality of life. Regaining my ability to write. As someone who has to write and draw diagrams for school, this was life-altering. My functionality improved over 100%. For an example, while working with the disability office at my university, I recall trying to describe how a complex chemical structure could be altered with different reagents. The disability assistant who was helping me attempt to draw what I was describing, this assistant looked at my hand shaking and squeezing the pencil just to stabilize it, and told me, please never do that again. It was then that I realized how debilitating my dystonia had become. I no longer needed to sit on my hands to calm them. Being able to be more spatially aware, or in my case, grabbing a cup out of the cupboard, or using a knife. I can reach for plates, bowls, and cups without looking. And now I haven't dropped dishes or broken any of them. I used to drop dishes fairly often. Being able to cut with a knife without fear of cutting myself is still a process to relearn how to cut vegetables, but I'm no longer afraid that I'll cut my fingers because they're sporadically posturing or trembling. Pouring drinks without spilling. Before my surgery, I would have to hold milk cartons with both hands to pour, or I would spill because of the tremoring. This is a treatment that works, as opposed to medications such as trihexyphenidyl, which made me lose my short-term memory. It also caused hives and itching, and Botox injections in my forearms, which, even at the lowest dosage possible, made me lose all use in my hands and forearms, so I couldn't grasp or hold anything. Photography. This is particular to me, as I have a love for photography. It's one of the simple joys that I have, and the act can be quite relaxing. I stopped photography a few years ago, but recently picked the camera back up again. I realized how easy photography was for everyone who was able-bodied. I used to force the viewfinder against my face, hard enough to leave a mark, or I'd wrap the camera strap around my hand and push my elbows and my sides to stabilize. Now it is so much easier to take photos. Sleep. I do not need to lay on my hands prior to sleep, just as I used to sit on my hands to calm them when sitting in class. My hands no longer feel restless or shake when I'm trying to go to sleep. Now I'm able to sleep with my hands above my head, and it's actually quite relaxing. Now the cons. These negatives can pertain to any surgery or procedure. I'm guessing the big one that everyone wants to ask about is the cost of treatment. Depending on your insurance, this procedure is multiple tens of thousands of dollars to hundreds of thousands of dollars. I'm very grateful that my insurance was able to cover the cost of this surgery. Because I needed a bilateral procedure, the cost was on the higher end. Recovery time. Not just surgery recovery, but waiting for the programming to work. This is variable depending on your age, your fitness level, and other ailments. Just as with any other surgery, this matters immensely on your recovery and success. I'm relatively young, apart from asthma. I do not have any other ailments. I'm also in fairly good conditioning, so my healing time was not long compared to others, although it did take up to a year for me to get the programming dialed in. Pain. Post-surgery, since the brain does not have pain receptors, the lead placements were not painful. In my case, it felt fairly normal. I was just exhausted from the surgery for about a month. This was different from the outpatient neurostimulator replacement. It takes a lot longer for the neurostim to scar into your chest. But the most painful part of the entire procedure was the placement of the wire through my neck, connecting the neurostim to the leads. It connects up through here, runs down behind my ear, along my neck, and into my chest. Headaches. I have continuous headaches, mostly from the wire placement in my neck. This is treated, though, with Botox injections in my forehead and the back of my neck. It is only a mask of the symptoms. My symptoms still display when I'm tired, physically exhausted, or severely stressed. This is a treatment, not a cure. The unknown. This procedure takes over a year commitment. You have to trust the process. This is my motto during the whole life-changing event. Trust the process. The silver lining here is that the workup that you must do prior to even meeting with the surgeon vets out those who are not ready or those who will not be able to commit over a year. With this information, you should be able to have a much more informed opinion about DBS, but in the next video, I will be going through the entire process of my own DBS procedure. Thank you.